This is Đà Nẵng TV News brought to you by the Đà Nẵng Radio and Television. My name is Dewey. In today's news, we feature the following headlines. Ensuring implementation of dual task of COVID-19 combat and social-economic development. Receiving support of $120 million for COVID-19 prevention and control. Stay at home with Vietnam online tour launch for foreigners. Ensuring the dual task of epidemic prevention and socio-economic development is the common spirit at the regular meeting of the Đà Nẵng Steering Committee for COVID-19 Prevention and Control under the chairmanship of Chairman of the City People's Committee Nguồn, taking place on April the 21st. At the meeting, Chairman of the City People's Committee Nguồn requested departments, agencies and localities continue to grasp and strictly follow the guidance of the government, the Central Steering Committee, the City's Party Committee and the People's Committee on measures to prevent and control the COVID-19 epidemic. Chairman Nguồn also requested to continue focusing on medical control at the gateways to the city, while those returning from epidemic areas must be isolated. In order to ensure the performance of dual task based on the situations of the local departments and agencies, there will be specific guidance on step-by-step resuming social activities in accordance with the actual situation of the COVID-19 epidemic. According to information from the City Department of Health, the number of isolated cases for medical quarantine in Đà Nẵng City has sharply decreased. Specifically, only 6 suspected cases are being isolated and monitored at hospitals, at district health centers and concentrated isolation areas. 160 cases are being monitored. Meanwhile, 25 others are being self-isolated at home and at the residence. Through review, more than 570 cases of foreigners and Vietnamese living abroad entering the city since March the 8th have been sampled and all negative for SARS-CoV-2 virus. Still organizing the high school entrance examination, but focusing only on consideration for high school graduation. This plan was reported by the Ministry of Education and Training to the Government Standing Committee in the meeting taking place on April the 21st, chaired by Deputy Prime Minister Vũ Đức Đam. According to the Ministry of Education and Training, the high school entrance examination will still be organized, but it will focus only on the main goal of consideration for high school graduation to assess the quality of high school students nationwide. This is aimed at overcoming the impacts of the COVID-19 epidemic on teaching and learning activities while complying with the law regulations. The Ministry of Education and Training also continues to be responsible for issuing the exam questions, applying information technology to strictly managing the exams, and marking multiple choice exams on computers. Meanwhile, localities nationwide are assigned to preside over the organization of examination, monitor the examination, and mark the essay exams. A complete list of hotlines and email addresses in 63 provinces and cities across the country has just been announced by the State Bank of Vietnam. The hotlines of provinces and cities is the place to receive and handle petitions, proposals, difficulties and problems of residents, businesses and associations in the fields related to debt rescheduling, debt restructuring and interest rate reduction due to the COVID-19 epidemic. The State Bank branches in localities nationwide will be responsible for receiving and handling all feedback, recommendations and proposals of enterprises and residents via hotlines. Instead of just being entitled to tax payment extension, micro, small and medium-sized enterprises can receive a 50% reduction of the corporate income tax payable by 2020. This is part of the draft government resolution on tasks and solutions to removing difficulties for production and business activities and promoting disbursement of public investment capital in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. Currently, the number of small and medium-sized enterprises in Vietnam accounts for up to 98%. If this policy is adopted, it will be a significant support for businesses in the context of the COVID-19 epidemic. As of April the 21st, nearly 56,700 tons of rice out of a total of 400,000 tons of rice under the export quota for April have been exported. This information is published on the website of the General Department of Vietnam Customs. In order to timely provide information about the export rice volume registered to open customs declaration, the General Department of Vietnam Customs has added statistical information on the rice export registration situation on the homepage of the portal of the General Department of Vietnam Customs at customs.gov.vn. The import-export enterprises and people will be able to update every 60 minutes information about the amount of rice that has been registered to open customs declaration in the month, the amount of rice actually exported in the month, and the remaining number of export quota in the month. The Civil Aviation Authority of Vietnam has proposed the Ministry of Transport make a plan to enhance the exploitation of domestic flight routes in the period from April the 23rd to 30th. Accordingly, the number of flights between Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi will increase to 20 flights per day. Vietnam Airlines and Vietjet Air will operate 3 flights per day for each on the air routes from Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City to Da Nang and vice versa. In addition, the Civil Aviation Authority of Vietnam has also required the airlines to carry out the distancing rule with at least one empty seat for the flights departing from Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. On April the 22nd morning, the Standing Committee of the Vietnam Fatherland Front Committee of Da Nang City received $120 million in support for the COVID-19 prevention and control from 3 organizations, businesses, and units in the city. In particular, the city's Gate Business Association donated $50 million, the city's Tourism Association donated $50 million, and information and communication businesses supported $20 million. So far, the Vietnam Fatherland Front Committee of Da Nang City has received $6.2 billion, 20 tons of rice, and some other necessities donated by organizations and individuals to support the work of COVID-19 prevention and control. The Receiving Love program launched by the city's Women's Union on its Facebook page has received the active response of organizations and individuals in the locality. From April the 17th to 21st, the Da Nang Women's Union received 2,940 kilograms of rice and 96,550,000 dongs from organizations and individuals. In the morning of April the 22nd, the City Women's Union gave directly to 130 households in Hai Châu District. Each household received 10 kilograms of rice and 300,000 dongs in cash. This week, the City's Women's Union will also set up 7 points to present gifts to 560 poor households affected by the COVID-19 epidemic with a total value of over $235 million. The Vietnam National Administration of Tourism had just cooperated with the Tourism Advisory Board to launch a virtual tour package named Stay at Home with Vietnam that helps connect Vietnam with foreign tourists and inspire them to explore Vietnam in the time of staying home due to the COVID-19 epidemic. People who have not been able to visit Vietnam because of the COVID-19 pandemic can experience the country's breathtaking destinations, delicious cuisine, and fascinating culture through this virtual tour package. Tourists can explore 360-degree tours of World Heritage sites or try cooking Vietnamese dishes such as bánh mì or bún chả with easy recipe. Besides, users can learn about Vietnamese culture through Vietnamese books, songs, and traditional artworks. The world's leading conservation organization, World Wildlife Fund in Vietnam, said that it had just launched an initiative to reduce plastic waste contest to search for innovative solutions to solving the problem of plastic waste in 4 localities of Vietnam. Specifically, the contest focuses on 2 main objectives, including the solutions of saving, reusing, and recycling implemented in 3 provinces and cities of Đà Nẵng, Rạch Giá, and Phú Yên, and upgrading and optimizing the value of plastic waste developed into environmentally friendly products in Phu Quoc Island District. 12 teams selected to the final round will have 2 weeks to work with leading experts in the field of incubation, acceleration, and business management, then completing their proposals before presenting ideas. The 4 winning teams will continue to be consulted by experts to implement the project effectively in the acceleration phase. And now let's take a look at our updated weather forecasts. And that's it for today's news. Don't forget to check out DaNangTV.vn to rewatch our programs. Thank you for watching and goodbye for now.